Hi guys, it's Kat. If you've been here before, then welcome back, and if you haven't, then welcome for the first time. Yeah! So today we're gonna talk about trains. Sort of. I live in London and I take the train a lot, and it's no question that the London Underground, or the Tube, is one of the most well-known and iconic underground train systems in the world. With its early beginnings dating back to 1863, it's really an impressive feat of engineering. But being the first doesn't make you the best, and in fact, the engineering and budget limitations when some of the first deep level tube tunnels were built actually make the tube kinda stinky doo-doo on most occasions. I could literally yap about the fascinating history for forever, but that's not as fun as explaining why the tube, especially in rush hour, is something you can wish upon your greatest enemies to inflict maximum suffering. Okay, so firstly, it's pretty obvious to say that London has an increasingly massive population. On record, it's almost 10 million, but it could be even higher. This becomes even more obvious when attempting to take the tube during rush hour, and honestly, at most general times during the day. The demand for using the tube is really high, okay? Like sardines in a tin high. And this is also where those previous limitations come back in to bite you in the ass, because the Victorian deep level tunnels are so small. They just about fit the curved trains that run down there, and the current day passengers just about fit in the train with a little pushing and shoving and stepping on each other's feet. The curved nature of the train is an actual problem, especially if you're above maybe 160 to 170 centimeters. That's definitely a problem for me because I'm fairly tall. I can only comfortably stand in the middle section of the train if the seats are unavailable. Unless I want to be shrimp mode the entire ride. The platforms themselves are quite small and can fill up really fast. It gets worse though, guys, because the delays cause the number of people to double or triple, only within the span of 15 minutes. A 7 to 15 minute delay could mean 80 plus people trying to get onto a narrow platform already at full capacity, and unfortunately, the delays are not uncommon, as well as random train terminations for some reason. In general, all of the spaces feel quite closed off and might even be quite claustrophobic for some. The passageways of the tube are quite narrow and have a lot of disorienting ways to navigate through. I went out of my way to go do some exploring and found you loads of things to show. So, I mean, look at this example. Who designed this? There's two escalators, some stairs, and over here we got, mystery direction. And okay, it might not look so bad. You think there's only about 4 ways to go here, but on this right, in the mystery direction, is another area that looks just as zany as this one, with about 4 other options of stair, escalator, and path. And it really doesn't help with orientation that a lot of the time you're literally walking through what feels like one of those cartoon mouse holes. I mean, the mice are right at home down there, living their best life. There can also be a lot of blind spots in these passageways, and people who are not paying attention, if they're staring at their phone or something, can easily walk into you. An attempted fix by the TfL, which is Transport for London for those who don't know, is installing those circular mirrors so you can see around the corner, but that literally doesn't do anything. I see them more often used by people for taking selfies than to ensure they don't walk into a person, okay? So, they tried. Now on to reason number 2. Okay, so hear me out, guys. I may have made a groundbreaking discovery, and as far as I'm aware, no one has reported on this yet. So, technically speaking, humanity in some cases assumes that hell is a very hot place, underground. Guys, I found it. I mean, the tube rails literally scream like thousands of tortured souls. I mean, it's either that, or we dug too deep and we found the dinosaurs like in Ice Age 3. Okay, as loads of people may or may not know, the tube can get unbearably hot in the summer, all year round honestly. In the winter, it might be freezing outside, so you get your warmest coat, only to start generating a swimming pool of sweat inside it from sitting on the train on your morning commute. You literally have to implement mega mind level strategies on your clothes layering game to ensure that you never get caught lacking with your fit being too cold or too warm. You can plan for layers for the winter, okay? In the summer, there's only so much you can not wear. So once you're down to shorts and a tank top and still melting, then there's no hope. There's loads of really good videos on YouTube explaining why the London Underground should be renamed to the London Clay Oven. But in summary, the tube gets hotter and hotter every year due to the surrounding clay absorbing the heat from the braking trains. Over the many decades they've been running and braking, and it's hot. There's no AC in most trains, so it feels disgusting, and the trains that do have AC just displace the heat onto the platform, so there's no one's really winning in the end. I know that they're always working on solutions for this kind of stuff, but I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty in this video. All I'm saying is I better not be a baked potato by the end of the decade. Oh my goodness, guys, look what time it is. It's time for reason number 3! I saved the best for last, and guys, to me, this is very important. Guys, it's really ugly. A lot of the tube is like a dingy dungeon, and I'm not talking about some abandoned stations on the outskirts of London or something. Even the ones in central London are looking like... I mean, some look better than others. Like, the Victorian ones are really giving dungeon, some are giving I got scrapped for parts. What is this crumbling collage meant to be? There's also, modern fancy stations that look brutalist and not dilapidated, so they're clean and stuff, but there's no consistency anywhere. It's all mishmashed. I guess it has a sort of weird charm, and I was interested in all of the funky things I noticed. Like, what's that thing? Looks straight out of a horror game from the way the door appears. And like, what's going on down there? Probably nothing interesting, but the whole thing looks ugly in an intriguing way, so I took a picture of it, okay? I think, it may need a little renovation, I think. So, okay, this one just looks interesting, I can't lie. I just wanted to show you because it's not like I hate the tube just fully or something. I think it's got some cool parts. Also, quick bonus, I took a picture of this building while standing on a platform because I thought that the window design was abhorrent. Why does the building cave in like that? I saw the top of it says 1913 and was at first intrigued at how old the building was, but then immediately afterwards I thought, you know what? Only thing that date is telling me is that the back of this building has looked ugly for over 100 years. Sorry for the tangent, okay? I just needed to put that out there. Anyway, not only are the platforms kinda ugly, they're also dirty, there's always rubbish everywhere, and the trains are dirty too. There's like 20 to 50 years of butt dust trapped in those seats. On the older trains at least, okay? So, it's so grim. Also, they constantly get tagged, the windows are scratched up, etc, etc. I think graffiti with actual effort and artistic intent is really cool, and I really enjoy looking at it. I think it makes the concrete jungle a bit more bearable, and definitely adds soul and color to the environment. But black scribbles just make it look worse. Also, last point here, I'm not sure if it's out of place in the ugliness complaint section, but like I mentioned earlier, it's so loud. I hadn't realized how excruciatingly loud it was until I found out. I'm literally going a little bit deaf from all the years of taking the train without noise-cancelling headphones. Now I am absolutely inseparable from them. It is a must if you don't want your ears to fall off. And finally, for all of the reasons I already listed, it's just too spenny, guys. Anytime I have to go around using the tube in London, I can expect to spend around £7 to £8, if not more. Now, I can't imagine running an old and vast public transport system is cheap for the TfL, but it's a pretty high expense on public transport anytime I have to go to uni, or, if somebody has to go to work, etc. Especially dealing with all of the other negative aspects of the underground. Too crowded, too hot, too stuffy, dirty, noisy, kind of ugly, and expensive. I think they're trying their best to keep it running, of course, but it's just an overall rough experience. So yeah, in my opinion, the tube is overrated. The iconic symbols and movie scenes have everyone misled. It's definitely an extremely convenient way to get around London, but I know no one would willingly use it if there was a better option. My friends always prefer the bus, but it doesn't work for people who live far from work or university. And don't say drive, because the congested London streets are even worse than the congested train carriages. But alas, it is what it is. So, for all my fellow Londoners out there suffering from the horrors of the tube, I'm Sandine with you too. I support you, and we need to stay strong. Thank you for watching, and if you've got any zany tube experiences or opinions to share, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear them. But apart from that, thank you again for watching, and bye bye!